Okay, so good afternoon to everyone. In the last class, or that is in the previous Saturday, I have taken the class. So in this last class, we have started the discussion about the URL connection class. Now, first we have discussed what is the URL class. Now, today we will discuss the two classes, that is URL connection class and inet class. These two we will discuss in this Java networking today. So basically, we have seen that a URL we have given, and from that URL connection, URL class does what? URL class does that from that URL, it is extracting the information. Now, what is the information it has extract? That what is the port number of it, what protocol is used in that particular URL, then what is the file that is present in that particular URL. All of this information is extracted from that particular URL, and it is done by using the URL class. But now in this URL connection class, we will see that in this particular URL we have sent, and in that particular URL, that is what the website, let's say the example that the website which we have sent, in that particular website, the file, a file is present. Now inside that particular file, what is written, what the statements are written inside this particular file which is present in that URL, we will able to know using the URL connection class. That is what it says, that it represents a communication link between the URL and its application, and it can be used to read or write data to the specified resource referred by the URL. That means if there is any file in the particular site, that means the website which we are sending, in that particular website, let's say any file is present, and inside that particular file, what is written, we want to read it, then we use the URL connection class. Now with an example, we'll see how this URL connection class we use. Now you see, for this we have to use import. First we have to use the package import java.io.star. Now this package, in this package, there is input stream, input reader, like this classes are present, and these classes are necessary to read the content of the file. So that's why what we will do, we will import the package, because inside this java.io package, we have the classes present that is useful to read the content of the file. So that's why if we want to use that particular class, then what we have to do, we have to import the package. So that is done, import java.io.star, and that means in this java.io, whatever the classes are present will be imported to our class. So that's why this package is used, and this package is basically used to read the content of the file. Then we already know that this is the package. This package we have already seen in the URL class, that java.net package, and this java.net package we have already used, because for networking programming we have to use this. So that's why we have used this package also, that import java.net.star. This package is also necessary. That means in the java.net package, whatever the classes are present will be imported to our own class. The class which we are using will be imported in that. Then we are taking that a class, the class which we are taking, and we have given it as the name read URL. And inside of this, public static void main string args. And here you see we have used throws exception. Now, already in the exceptions discussion, exception class discussion, I have told that we have to use two types. Now, what is that? If a statement can throw exception, we can use that statement or write that statement inside the try block, and there will be a catch present that will hold that particular statement which it throws the exception. It will be held by the catch block. And another from is what? Another from you can also write that using this throws exception command. This throws exception you can also write either. What you have to do, you can write this type, or you can write inside of this. First you will use the try, and after this try you will use the all the statement, and at last there will be a catch block present which will hold that you whatever the exceptions will be thrown by this statement will be hold by that catch block. You can make these two types you can write, but here I have not written using try catch block. I have written using throws exception. So that is why you see public static void main string args, and after that I have mentioned throws exception. That means here all the statements that is present can throw the exception. So that's why we have written using the public static void main, and after that there are throws exception. Okay, so then what we have done, first we have create the URL class object. You see we have created the URL class object, URL u1 equal to new URL equal to new URL. So that means URL class object has been created, and as a parameter, you see as a parameter we are sending this URL. That means this will be held by this u1 URL class object. U1 will hold this particular our parameter. So in this parameter what we have mentioned, http abc.com a1.text. Now this is what, if we use the http is what, http is our protocol, hypertext transfer protocol, and this is what, this is the name, and inside this abc.com this a1.text file is present. That means a text file, and this text file name is a1 that is present in this abc.com. So what we have to do from here, we able to know that this a1.txt, the text file which we have, we want inside that particular text file whatever written, we want to read it. Now what we have to do, for this reason we have to, now inside this a1.txt file, this text file, whatever the statement is written, we want to read it. So that's why what we have to do, we have to use the URL connection class. That means URL connection class object should be created. So that's why you see in that next statement we have written URL connection u2. That means what, this u2 is the URL connection class object. But here you see we didn't write new URL connection. Instead of it, what we have to do, now URL connection, this is used for the connection, for making the connection between the URL and this particular file. So that's why what we have done, u1.open connection. Now u1 is what, u1 is the URL class object. Now because this parameter, this whole parameter is holding by whom, holding by this u1, and we want to read this particular file. So that means what we have to do, we have to first make the connection between them. So that's why what we have done, using the URL object, we have called the open connection method. This open connection method is basically used to establish connection between the file. Now this open connection method, this method is basically used for making the connection between the file. And why we have chosen this, calling this method open connection using u1, because u1 is holding this particular URL, and in that particular URL what is the file present, that file connection we have to make. So that's why we have called using the URL object, and with that object we call the open connection method. This open connection method will establish the connection between the file. Now what the file we have present? We have present a1.txt. This text file is present, and that's why we have called it using URL class object. And this will do what? This will make the connection. So that means what? That means now this will be held by this u2, because we have already made the connection. And after making the connection, where we are storing this? We are storing this into the URL connections object u2. So that means this URL will be held by now u2. After that, now we have already making the connection, our connection is done. So the next step, what will be our next step? Our next step is we want to read the content of that particular file. That means whatever it is written inside this text file a1.txt, we want to read. Now we have made the connection already, so after that we want to read. Now for we want to read, we are use this class input stream. Now this input stream class we use when we have to some for read this, like this, for inside the file some present, some statements are present, and we want to read it. For that, in that cases the input stream class is used, and this input stream class is present in this java.io. So that's why I have, in that time I have imported this package import java.io, because if we didn't import this, then we cannot use the input stream class. This input stream class has basically what? The uses of this input stream class is, it is used to read the content of the file. This class is what? This class we use to read the content of the file. Like this input stream, there is another also, that is read line. Like this we have that the input stream, read line function, read line class, like this classes are present. But the main we use mainly, that is the input stream class, and this class we used here to read the content that is present inside this a1.txt. For this reason we use the input stream class. Now you see this input stream class object, that is is, this is the is, this is the input stream class object, and we have using this u2 dot get input stream. Now this will do what? This will get input stream, this method. In this we pass the u2 connection, input stream is passed. That means u2 is holding what? u2, after the making the connection, u2 is holding this particular url, because we have making the connection between them, and after that u2 is holding this particular url. So get input stream, using that u2 dot get input stream. So in this we will pass the u2 connection, input stream will be passed to there, and the content of the stream of the text file will be passed. Now we have passed this into the, for this input stream. Now character by character we will read that, whatever the statement that is present, we will read that. Now what we have to do for character by character, if we want to read, then we have to read the content to create. And so for that reason we have to create an object of the integer type. So you see, now we will use the read this character by character. So that's why int I, while I is read is what? Is read is a function that, if you see in the file in the C also, you have seen that for file read to represent that we have already reached the end of the file or not, to that we use the is read function, that we have all the characters are written or not. For that reason we use the is read function, and you see I equal to is read not equal to -1. Why we are making this as is dot read not equal to -1? Because if it is -1, that means the file will be empty, and that means we do not have to read any, and we have reached the end of the file. Or it may happen that we have reached the end of the file. In that time, the while loop will not execute. So that's why we have mentioned is dot read not equal to -1, because if it is equal to -1, then that means our all the characters have been read. So this loop will be executed until we reached the equal to -1. So that's why after one by one using this, we will read the character. So this is what, this is the URL connection, our programming of the URL connection class. Okay, it is clear. It is clear to everyone.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is basically the URL connection class. And the last one is the inet address class. Now inet is what? It is the, we have already IP address, mainly the IP address. Now to represent the IP address, so previously I have discussed that what is the IP address. Now IP address is basically that if your system is what, like you and your friend all are connected, all systems are connected in a network. Now anyone has to identify that what is your system, what is her system, what is him system. So all of identification of the system. Now all this, let's say A, B, C, D, all the systems are connected in a network, in a particular network. Now in outside, let's say from outside any system is present that it wants to send some information to that particular system, then how it can how it can able to identify that which system you want to send. Now for unique identification, for this reason, for unique identification, a system address is given, a IP address is given. Now we have two types of address. One is MAC address and another one is the IP address. MAC address is the physical address and IP address is our networking or internet address. This is now all the systems that are connected in a network. To identify each and every system in that particular network, we give some address for identification, and that address we call as the IP address. We have two types of IP. We will not discuss about that, but for your knowledge, I am saying that you will able to know. For that we have two types of IP, that is IPv4, IP version 4 and IP version 6. So these two types of IPs are there. So this is what main you only know till now, that for unique identification of the system for that are connected in a network, we use the IP address. Now basically to represent an IP address and provides a method to get the IP of any host name. Now basically when you write www.facebook.com, this is the domain name. This is the domain name basically. But there is an IP address also present. But for a human, we are humans and we do not able to remember all that IP address, the numbering, we can not able to remember that. For this reason, the our came the domain name identification came. So like this www.abc.com, this is what this is a website you are seeing, and this we called as the host name. But this www.abc.com, it has a particular IPv4 address or IPv6 address is there, but it is not possible to remember all that IP address. So for this reason the domain name concept came. So this is what, this is a this website which you are seeing, that www.abc.com, abc.com. This is what? This is the host name, and it has also a particular IP address. The IP address of this are also present, but that is another discussion. But this is what there is also for this, for www.facebook.com, for any website you are seeing. In that website there is also a particular IP present. Each and every this host name, it has a particular IP present there. So for this, what we know from this, using this inet address class, using this inet address class, we basically able to know the host name and the IP address of that particular thing. So basically what you see, for as an example, you see we have written a program. Now for doing this using the inet address class, what we have to do first, you see we have imported this import java.io.star package. Now it is what? It is not necessary you will write, because it will necessary when it will be for read any content of the file. But here in this program we are not using any reading the content of the file, anything we are not doing here. But I have used it, but it is not necessary that you have to use also that. If it is, if you want to do any particular, want to read any particular content of the file, in that time you will use that our package, this package you can able to use in that time, but it is not necessary to use every time. Then after that we have imported the java.net package. This package we have already imported. Now this package is basically what? For the networking purpose, because this inet address class, url class, then our url connection class, all are present inside this our java.net package. Inside this package all are present. So that's why we have import java.net.star package. And after that the class we have given, this class name we have given class inet demo. So this is our class name, and inside of this we have written public static void main string args. Now you see in this we have used the try catch. You can also, this is what? This is a one type you can use try, and inside the try you use this all the statements, and after that the catch block, and this will hold that this systems will send some exception, it will be hold by the catch block. You may write like this also, or you can write like this public static void main string args throws exception. That can also be written. It is up to you that how you will write that. It is up to you. So here in this case I have shown the other type, that is the using the try catch block. So inside of this we have used the try block, and inside this try block, so first thing what we have done, we have created the inet address class object. So inet address ip equal to inet address dot get by name. So this will do what? This get by name, this is the method that is present inside this inet address class, and it will do what? It will collect as a parameter, it will take the url, or basically it will take the particular host name. So particular host name will be collected by this get by name method. So that's why as a parameter you see we have sent www.abc.com. This is what? This is the host name. The host name which we have, this host name is taken as a parameter. So as a parameter get by name, this get by name method takes the parameter of the particular host name. And after that what it has done, using this, now it will hold this www.abc.com will be hold this inet address class object, because this is was as a parameter we are sending. So that means what? The inet address class object will hold this. So that's why after you see we have used ip.get host name. So this is what? This object, using this inet class object we call the get host name method. So using the get host name method what have done that whatever we have sent in that particular host name, what is that will be shown by this. And after in the next is what the next is, you see we have called the IP in dot get host address using the host address. So the particular IP address, if we want to see that particular IP address will be shown by this. And after that we have used the catch block, because if this statement can throws the exception, then it will be hold by the catch block. So that's why we have used the catch block. So get host name, this method will do what? This method will show the particular host name, and get host address, this particular method will show that whatever the IP address of that particular host name. So it will show that. So this is the concept of the inet address class. So in this Java networking, these three types, you remember, these three classes are mainly, it is not that only these three classes are used, there are many classes used, but for your purpose, the basically these three things you should, three classes you should remember, that is the URL class, URL connection class, and the inet address class. Okay, clear to everyone? समझ में आया सबको? Anyone has any question? किसी का कोई क्वेश्चन है ना? क्लियर है? नीरज, okay, then I think it is clear to everyone. So this is what, this is the concept of the Java networking. Now after this I have missed one thing, that is the string classes. Inside the string I have missed one topic, that the string tokenizer, this concept I have missed, the string tokenizer in Java. We have discussed the string literal, and we have already string buffer class I have discussed, but this thing I have left in that time, that is the string tokenizer in Java. So this is what this string tokenizer, it is basically present in the java.util package. So this string tokenizer is also a class. Like string buffer, we have seen the string buffer class, same as that string tokenizer class is also present in Java. And this string tokenizer class is basically present in the java.util package. This package, inside this java.util package, the string tokenizer class is present. Now, what is the use of this string tokenizer class? Now, basically, the use of the string tokenizer class is it allows to break a string into tokens. This string tokenizer class, what we have do using this string tokenizer class, using this string tokenizer class, we break a string into tokens. That means tokens is what? It is basically substring. It is basically the substring. Depending on some particular pattern, we can break our string into tokens. That means with an example, let's say this we have like abc at the rate of a.com. Let's say this is what this we have, abc at the rate of a.com. Now we want to divide it like this abc, this will be a string, this a.com, this will be another string. Dividing this based on the @ of. Now we want to divide it like that. One string will be ABC and another string will be a.com. Now this things should be done by the string tokenizer, and we called it as the tokens. This ABC is one token, this a.com, it is the another token. So string tokenizer class is basically doing what? It breaks that string, it divides the string into tokens, and this string tokenizer class is basically used for that. Now in this string tokenizer class, we have some constructor present and we have some methods are also present. So first start discussing what are the constructor that is present in this string tokenizer class. Now we already know that what is the constructor. Constructor is used to construct the object, construct or initialize the object. So it is a special type of method. So that means the name of that particular special type, that means constructor name and the class name will be same. So that's why you see our constructor, the first constructor is string tokenizer. That's why, because the name of the class and the constructor name will be same. So that's why string tokenizer, the first constructor we use here, we mainly use three constructor in it. The string tokenizer class, the string tokenizer class has three constructor. The first one is what? String tokenizer, and as a parameter string str. That means as a parameter we are sending a string type argument. This is a parameter, this is a type of constructor we can use in the string tokenizer class. Another one is the string tokenizer, and as a parameter we are sending the string type parameter and the string delim. Now delim is what? You may ask that what is said, that is the delim. Delim means delimiter. Delimiter is what? In Hindi you can say सीमांक, मतलब कोई सीमा जिसको हम सीमा कहते हैं, कि मानो एज ए एग्जांपल abc@a.com. इसमें क्या है? इसमें इसको हम दो चीज में डिवाइड कर रहा है, abc और a.com, दोनों डिवाइड, दोनों स्ट्रिंग में डिवाइड कर रहे हैं. और इसमें क्या है? मेरा डेली, किसके बेसिस में हम डिवाइड कर रहे हैं इस स्ट्रिंग को? @ जो है उसका बेसिस में. तो अगर हम इसको एग्जांपल में देखें, लेट्स से दिस इज द एग्जांपल लाइक CEC classes. CEC classes, it is the example, and inside between them there is the space present. So space is considered is the delimiter. मतलब स्पेस को रख के, स्पेस को सीमा बना के हम दोनों, ये जो CEC क्लासेस स्ट्रिंग था इसको दोनों पार्ट में डिवाइड किए. तो यही है उसका एग्जांपल, इसको ही हम डेलिमीटर कहते हैं. स्पेस जो है, स्पेस को हम लोग बाय डिफॉल्ट डेलिमीटर कहते हैं. बाय डिफॉल्ट स्पेस जो है वो डेलिमीटर है. अगर इस एग्जांपल को हम माने तो @ मेरा डेलिमीटर है, क्योंकि @ के बेसिस में हम ये जो टोटल था abc@a.com, इस @ को हम सीमा बना के इसको दोनों पार्ट में डिवाइड किए, abc और a.com. तो ये मेरा @ क्या हुआ? इधर डेलिमीटर है, तो इसको ही हम लोग डेलिमीटर कहते हैं. ओके. एंड द थर्ड टाइप, द कंस्ट्रक्टर दैट वी यूज is the string tokenizer, and in this the three parameters it will take. One parameter is the string type argument, another one is the string delim, and another will be the boolean return value. Okay, so this is what the constructor that is present. Till now it is clear to everyone? It is clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So today I will not able to discuss this. Then in the next class, I will discuss about this string tokenizer, all this string tokenizer constructor uses and the methods that is used in the string tokenizer, and we will see a small example. So in the next class, we will see it about this thing. We will see in the next class. So today, this much. So if anyone has any questions, you may ask, or either I will end the session. Okay, so then I think no anyone has any question. So thank you everyone. I am ending the session. So in the next class, I will discuss about that. Okay. So thank you everyone.
Thank you, sir.